Hello everyone, I've got a Shimano C201 hub here that's really notchy, so I'm going to take it apart and see if it can be re-greased and running back to how it should. So firstly I'm going to take off using a 13mm cone spanner and a normal 17mm spanner. I'm just going to undo the locking nut. There we go. Okay, just unwind that. There's a little washer behind it. Just holding the locking nut on the other side, and again 13mm cone span. I'm just going to slightly undo that. So I'm just going to take it all apart, show you guys what to look out for, whether it's serviceable or whether parts need replacing. So I'm just going to pull the axle out from this side, and just bear in mind your bearings, depending on how dry they are, they may all fall out. Okay, so just firstly look at these cones. Right, if you can see, but that there is knackered. See all the little notches. Where your bearings are going to run round on that cone, that's the rough notchy feeling that we had, and that's the reason for it. So let me just check this other one. Yeah, that one's even worse. So those definitely need replacing, which is fine. What we need to do is check the cups, what the bearings sit in. I'm going to take the bearing cover off, just using a flat blade, gently prising it off. Very easily damage those, so do be careful. Let's take those bearings out. Let's have a look at this cup. Now the bearing surface, that cup, is absolutely fine. Looking for any like little dents, notches, and there's none on that side, so that's good. Also, you want to check for a lip just here, so just making sure that there's no lip. A small lip would be okay, but if it was starting to get sort of, I don't know, around 1/2 mil, you definitely wouldn't want to continue using that. So let's just check the other side. Again, just prise that off quite gently, because you can destroy them taking them off, and it's nice to get them back on, the original ones. The bearings are readily available, and so are the cones, but when the cups are damaged, they're not so easy to get hold of. So let's just have a look at this one. That's absolutely fine as well. Yeah, that's good. The cones are not showing much damage at all. Well, no damage. There's no lip. Strange really, because those cones don't really match the wear of the cups. But that now is a wheel that we can reuse. We can rebuild that. So what I'm going to do is see if I can grab a couple of cones, some new bearings, and get that rebuilt, and I'll show you that in the next step. Right, so I've been through my spares and found a couple of cones. They're not Shimano cones, they're a couple of Halfords cones, and they are slightly longer, if you see, but if you take into account that washer that comes on the Shimano one, it is the same length. So what I shall do is use these cones but not those washers, and that'll work out the same. Otherwise, if I use the washers as well, we're just going to run out of thread. That ain't no good for no one. So let's take off this cone. Just undoing that there. Again, there's that washer. I'm not going to be using those. Okay, put that there. Just give the axle a bit of a clean. Can't believe how clean those cones are. I expected them to be really pitted and non-serviceable, because I haven't got these cups. I have got some bits and bobs, some old cups that I keep, but I know that I've got none that size. Okay, so we're just going to screw on the new cone. Say new, it's not brand new, but it's next to. And then of course just the locking part there. If I had Shimano cones, I would have done, you know, I would have used those, but you've just got to use what you've got at the end of the day. So I'm just judging. I mean, there's about 4 threads left out there. We can always make adjustments to that later on. So we're just going to now nip up this side. You don't have to get a tan on it, just nip up on it there. I hadn't got any bearings either, so I have cleaned up the old ones. Looking at them, they do look okay. There's no pitting or any signs of damage on them. Ideally, obviously, you want to change those for how cheap they are, but just for the purpose of the video, I'll be using the old ones just to show you. So I've got some lithium grease here that came with the cones. going to start by now the other side. Okay. So now I use a little Torx bit with magnetic end just to pop the bearings in. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So now I'm just going to turn over and put the 10 bearings in that side. I'm just going to add a little bit more lithium grease around there. Get our little dust cover. Literally just push that in place. Sometimes you might have to give it a little tap. You don't want to push it down too far. Sometimes it can actually go down too far and interfere with the bearing. In this case there is a little stopper, so you can't do that. Okay, so that's the bearings in. We've got our dust covers in, and now we're just going to put the axle back in that side, and then over this side screw that new cone in. I know you can't feel that, but that is a million times better. There's no notchiness, no restriction, it's just super smooth, almost like a sealed bearing. Okay, so just going to put the locking nut on. There's a few different methods for setting the cone. Just noticed there that that's going to be it's pretty much both the same either side. Maybe just undo it a slight amount. I've got OCD when it comes to the thread. It must be equal either side, otherwise I won't sleep. It's only slightly off. Whoops. Okay, so what I do when it comes to setting the bearings, because of course if you do tighten the cone up too much, it's going to force the bearings in and stop it spinning freely. So I've just ever so slightly over tightened that cone there, so when I tighten up this locking nut, it'll then back off that cone just that fraction. And it can take a few attempts. So okay, that's tight, and I think I've got it first time. Just need to nip it up. That's done it. There we go. Like I said, it can take a few attempts just to get it right, but it is a case of tightening up the cone a little bit too much so it's almost stopped the bearing, and then when you tighten up, you're locking up against the cone, it's going to come back slightly, and then 9 times out of 10 does the trick. If you was to just tighten up the cone against it and then tighten up your locking nut, it'll back off so much that there'll be play in your bearings. That's it, guys. That is a retro C201 hub service. Nice retro wheel, the Weinmann Zach 2000. I got this off the car boot. And old wheels like this, if you can save them, they do fetch good money for people's projects and old retro bikes. I've got the car boot tomorrow, so I will be updating you on what I find. And that's it. That's all sorted. Show you another picture of them cones. Oh yeah, thanks for watching, and until the next time, goodbye.